At what point in getting ready to make the show did you realize, like, oh, it's going to be more than just like cool sitcoms?
At what point? I don't even know. We didn't have all of them at first. I think we had the first 6 or 5. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think I have no idea. I just was trying not to get in my own way and overthink, and just know that we were part of like an actor troupe. We really shot the first episode in front of a live studio audience once, and that is what we did, like the way they did Dick Van Dyke. And I think that was so terrifying for all of us that everything else felt like the most amazing playtime. And so we were just kind of on a train that didn't stop moving until there was COVID, and we had a 3-month break, as did the world, and then we went back and just finished up. We had all the exteriors to finish up the last few episodes, and so I felt, yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it was this wild ride, and then the show, strangely, was really, and almost finished, was really reflective of living in this bubble that we all created for ourselves while living through a pandemic. So there's just something kismet that happened with that show that was a complete accident.
I also love the fact that, like, yes, it's a superhero show, but it's so much about a magical superhero, but a woman's experience and her perspective on life. And I know that sort of stuff is very interesting and important to you as a performer. Is that, at what point did you realize, oh, this is really tapping into all this stuff that I like so much, maybe not even in the Marvel sphere normally?
Well, I love what's the phrase I'm looking for? Oh gosh, Lizzie, come on. When you don't trust your lead character.
Unreliable narrative.
Yeah. I love an unreliable narrator, and that's why I love doing Love and Death so much. Like I love not necessarily trusting the protagonist, and that's always fun for me to know when we're creating doubt for an audience of this person's own perception of what's right or wrong, or what's real, what's not real. And so that was a fun get to get to play with then the kind of like cliffhangers for the episodes.
I did mention before that even while you're making these giant scale movies, indie film is very important to you. I told you beforehand, I loved His Three Daughters, and then seeing the clip, it reminded me why I loved it so much. But something like Ingrid Goes West, which is so funny, Very Good Girls, which is a film I loved when I saw it at Sundance, another Lizzie Olsen Sundance hit. Why was...
I wouldn't call that movie a hit, but thank you.
Sundance hit. Yeah, but it was got a lot of buzz at Sundance. Again, the snow globe.
Yeah.
Why is it important to you to keep varying what you do and not necessarily just becoming a Marvel actress or like, a blockbuster franchise actress?
I don't think being a blockbuster franchise actress sounds fulfilling, and I believe in endurance in this job, or in most jobs, and it's about growth, and it's about challenges and continuing curiosity. And I'm saying this really thinking about like any kind of field work, and I think the moment it feels like you're repeating something, I assume that becomes less interesting, and we become lazy, and I want to continue to be surprised and challenged, and sometimes it's frustrating. Right now we can't figure out how to, for the most part, make money from making film because of how it's all changed so much, and so it makes making movies that I really do love and want to have made, it's making it very challenging right now, so that's been frustrating. So trying to figure out then, like, either I don't really know how to help it because it's kind of just the situation everyone's in, but trying to then figure out then what can I do that still does feel like a challenge or fulfilling, and that ends up being kind of like pitching and trying to build your own possible work, and so that's been interesting, and also not fun, but because it's way more no's than you're used to, and I'm like really used to no's, as a lot of actors are, And so, but it's a whole new muscle that you have to develop, and I do like being a part of development. I love script analysis. I love adjusting edits for all scripts that I work on, if a director's and a writer's open to that. And yeah, so it's just about constantly evolving, I think, and kind of going with the changes of our world.
Very rapid changes.
Yeah, I think for every industry. We're all adjusting to a lot quite quickly in the last 15 years. I feel lucky though that I got to be a part, I also feel lucky that I didn't have social media when I started working. But I do feel lucky that I got to be a part of this kind of, these last moments of what independent film was, that probably shifted in 13 or something.
You're sort of beautifully teeing me up for what I want to talk about, which is, we saw that wonderful clip for Sorry for Your Loss, which was this beautiful Facebook Watch series.
Yeah.
That was the first time that you produced.
Yeah.
Tell us about the decision to start producing. Sometimes I feel like I hear from performers, it was inspired by a filmmaker or creator who really let you into the process and you loved it. Or the opposite, you wanted to be let into the process and you weren't, and you wanted to make your own work. I know you got really immersed into the character, but just tell us about that decision, like, I'm also going to produce this.
So it was around a time when I realized that I needed to probably be a bit pickier with my choices because I wasn't being considered to work with certain filmmakers that I once was. And so what happened was I was sent a spec script, and with the producer and the writer, went like from the ground up. We pitched it, we got a team together, we drew it up together, we cast it together. I was in every stage of making that show. The Facebook thing was first developed with Showtime, and Showtime wanted to keep holding on to it, and so then Facebook just gave us 10 episodes, which doesn't happen that often, so we took it. And they don't even do scripted TV anymore. It was not their thing. and I think that was smart for them. They were very hard to kind of coach along the way of how to make it more visible as one of their first shows, or their first scripted show, actually. And the strategy there was I wanted to work with independent filmmakers on each episode, and I got to meet a lot of amazing independent filmmakers making that show, and one of them being Azazel Jacobs, who directed His Three Daughters, who's now a good friend of mine. But if it weren't for that show, he wouldn't have thought of me for His Three Daughters. And so it was quite a strategy, and it was about this idea of like trying to figure out how to create a pivot when you feel like I needed one. I needed one. And so it was amazing to be a part of something from beginning to end, and then it was also amazing to kind of create those opportunities from like a strategy standpoint.
What's your favorite part about producing? You're talking about like being in the edit bay and working on a script, but is there something in particular that when you are getting ready to produce something, you like can't wait for this?
I love being on set. Anytime I'm on set, I'm a happy person. And I think it's because I like problem solving and I like advocating for people. And so I like trying to figure out where there's a missing connection and how people are communicating for a couple weeks ahead. Even when I'm not producing, I'm doing that. But I always warn ADs that I'm doing that before we work together. And I want everyone to feel valued, and I want everyone to feel like that. I want them to enjoy their job. We're with each other for 12 to 16 hours, somewhere around there, and that you're not with your family, you're not taking breaks, and it's a lot to ask of people, and so for it to be a bad atmosphere is not cool. So I think when you are a producer, or even when you're not, and you are a lead actor, you are allowed to set the tone, and that is what I look forward to. I want people to get into arguments that are about how do we make it better. I don't want anyone having arguments about not feeling respected. I think creative arguments are like delicious, and debates are great. Like I love debating people. But if you can only really do that in a healthy way with coming from a place of respect, and so that's what I love most about it.
when you're looking for other projects to produce, and maybe just to produce, what are you looking for right now?
I look for things and try and create things that are reflecting our culture and society. I think the work that I've been most excited to see recently is doing that in really interesting ways. And whether it's like subversive, whether it's comedy, whether it's even through like the film assessment. I'm not producing, I produce that, but the film assessment, which is this like near future sci-fi, that's this kind of contained world. That felt very reflective of our society and culture and eternity in some ways too. I said in this Q&A last night after one of the screenings that I loved that David Frame's point of view of the afterlife was this kind of like nihilistic sell, just a continuation of the world we've built. But that kind of allows this kind of like unexciting love in a way, this kind of mundane love to be bigger than whatever the afterlife is.
Well, so let me run your hands again for who saw Eternity last night. Okay, so most of you know what we're talking about. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't here last night. I saw it in the screening room. It was me and 3 other girls, and we laughed a lot. I think it's a great girl movie, but it's very creative and very romantic, and I love the world that David built. Yeah, it's like a giant convention hall. How did you first get involved in this, and at what point were you like, I want to star in it and I want to produce it?
Oh gosh, how frank do I want to be?
We're all friends.
Is anyone writing about this? And that's what I read with Marla's like, just don't say anything you don't want to repeat it. It's my fatal flaw as a person. So I read the script and I thought it was really great. No one was attached to it. I met with David, and A24 was already involved, so I knew there was like some financing that wasn't going to be like too hard to get going. And I thought that if I ever were to do a romantic comedy, I wanted to do a romantic comedy as an 80-something-year-old woman. That felt right to me. And I loved the relationship between Joan and Larry. I thought, well, my husband absolutely will leave this world 9 years old choking on a pretzel. And I related to it. I loved it. I was charmed by it. And then it took a while to cast everything else. So I think about a year later is when we made it. And it was during the casting process and like sort of like legal stuff where sometimes you become a producer. I wasn't like really working. I basically realized that in independent films, it's sometimes nice to become an executive producer so that you can help support the director. Sometimes you don't need to. Sometimes the director will be in a situation where they're trying to fight for something to be in the film or cast someone that they want in the film. And it is more helpful if you have that to kind of go advocate for them or support them in what they want. And so that is why sometimes I become an executive producer. So I wouldn't say I produced it in the same way. I feel like I produce Sorry for Your Loss, where I'm like, involved in the sound mix. That's not what happened on this.
But I mean, as you say, it's a level of advocacy. Like, I think if you walk into a room and you're like, no, I really want this thing that David also wants, people are going to listen. And I think that's very positive that you realize, or you hope that they're going to listen.
They might listen, they might not agree, and that's fine. But I think it's as long, you usually sign on because you believe in a director's point of view, and so it is sometimes helpful if this is only their third feature. Like, I'm not going to do that with like PG Anderson or whatever, but with David or with Fleur Fortuné, who I wish I had with Assessment, because I wish I could have been more of an advocate along the way in different stages. She made the movie that she wanted to make ultimately, and so that is nothing to do with it. That's not me reflecting on the outcome. But I do think that was her first feature, and I kind of realized then, like, oh, it would be really probably helpful for her if Alicia Vikander and I were also executive producers on it, just to support her more.
We talk about you playing an 80-year-old woman. You're
I used to say 90, and then I kept getting corrected that she's like 88 or something, but like, I don't really know.
She's your accent that you use in this is really wonderful, and the way you carry yourself. What was it like the first time that you found that character in your current form?
Well, we were trying to figure out the kind of the duos of the times that Joan would have loved, and you kind of start with Shirley MacLaine and Jack Lemmon naturally, and then I just became obsessed with Anne Meara and Stiller, Jerry Stiller, and I just, for whatever reason, I just was like, I think it's them, but whatever that means for Miles and I, and so that was kind of the start. I wasn't trying to be I wasn't trying to do a thing of the fifth, I wasn't trying to do it, but I was trying to understand, whatever, that kind of scrappy New York, or whatever it is, Queens, woman, and so I kept thinking of Anne Meara, and so that's where it started, and it was really, really fun, and I think Miles also, we both, I've never been more charmed by him on screen, so I think he was so fun to watch in this film.
Well, it's funny that we're kind of supposed to believe, and we do believe, Miles is a little schlubby. Mm-hmm. And it's just he's so charming. He loves his wife so much, and that was really, it's funny and it's sweet, and it's so much fun to watch.
Well, thank you.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask a question that, again, we're all friends here. I feel like recently, when you've been talking about Marvel stuff, and even today, it feels like you're still in it. And I know that you're voicing Wanda in the show. Is there a world where you're not out of the Marvel business? It does seem like it's something you really love.
It is something I love, and it's something I always want to return to. And I think the thing that's been so special about the last 5 years is I've got to do so much of the character that I never thought I would. And so there are still character through lines that have happened in the comics that I would love to do, that I think fans also want to. I mean, these movies aren't for critics; these movies are for fans, and I would really love to kind of service some of those storylines.
Who there realizes that Lizzie is also a best-selling author?
So no, for children. Well, hold on.
No.
This is I'm not a list.
She's a best-selling author.
Got it.
Who knew that?
Embarrassing me right now.
Okay. Yeah. You and your husband have co-written 2 books.
Yeah.
In the Happy Harmony series.
Yeah.
But
They're children's books.
They're children's books, but they're about really important things. They're about anxiety, and they're also about kindness.
She's a worry detective.
Yeah. What is a worry
film
detective?
noir worry.
A worry detective. Do you feel like you're a worry detective?
No, I don't. I feel therapied. I feel like I've been given tools that I ignore or choose not to ignore. But the books were really, really fun for us. My husband and I were trying to. He had quite a few children's book ideas, and we were playing around with them in 2019, and then somehow in 2020 a publisher asked us, "Have you guys thought of anything around the anxiety space for kids?" And that was where Hattie Harmony, he very quickly thought of Hattie Harmony. And he has 2 other picture books that are not related, that are his, that one will come out this year and the other next year. And the inspiration behind all of it really was trying to think about the first piece of art kids are really shown, and it's children's books and storytelling. And I think it was coming from a place of how do you inspire curiosity and patience in children when there's so much to be distracted by. And that's where it started. And our goal always with Hattie Harmony was to hopefully make it into a children's preschool show one day, which is something we're actively doing right now, and that's been really fulfilling.
This is all a long way of me getting to a question. As a producer, who obviously loves being hands-on, wants to have a good set, wants to be involved in writing, is writing and directing a film something that you're interested in at all? I can see it for you.
I think it would be something I might do at some point. Directing is something I really admire so much, so it's hard for me to be like, yeah, I can do that. Like, I find it to be such a true art and talent, and something I respect. And yeah, I love a lot of elements of writing. I don't like sitting down and writing dialogue, but I love help crafting story. I love creating turns. I love creating payoffs and things that return back to. But that's because I also love writing essays, and so it's something I do like. I don't know if I'll direct. I have nothing that comes like it. It's silly to. I don't know, but maybe. I don't know.
You have a ton of upcoming projects.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Well, you at least have two. You have one that is returning you to working with Sean Durkin.
Well, who knows? No, that's a pilot. I've never shot a pilot in my life. No one might. I probably just pilot. Just do it in the dark. Yeah, well, we don't know if it's a real show. So that's just I made a pilot. I might not ever see it. And with Sean Durkin, and that was really lovely. Who directed Mark and Mark's name Marlene. It was Will Arbery, he's a great playwright. He wrote it. It's a great group of people, great cast. Jason Cameron, Tony Edwards, Chris Milioti. It's a great group of people. I would really love to make it, but it's not real.
What is real?
I made a movie called Panic Carefully this winter. That is a political thriller starring Julia Roberts, Eddie Redmayne, and Brian Terry Henry, and that will probably come out. I don't know, sometime mid next year.
When you are in this sort of in between time,
yes.
Like this is coming out. I don't know if this is actually going to happen.
Yeah, it's called Dark Hole.
What do you do during that time?
Well, I pitch a lot of things, and I try to help filmmakers find money to make movies, and that's it. I'm trying to build, I guess. There is an element, obviously, of like unwinding or something, but you can only unwind for so long until you feel like you're a retired 36-year-old, which is never a goal. And so, yeah, so it's just kind of you try and figure out how much you can I don't know, create and have some sort of forward momentum.
Are you someone who goes to the movies? Or
yes,
okay.
All the time.
What were the last few movies that you've seen that you loved?
I saw one battle after the other, one battle after another, 2 days ago in New York, and I adored it.
Well, you mentioned PTA earlier, so I was like, oh, she's seen one.
Yeah, it was fresh in mind. Yeah, I watch I basically don't like leaving neighborhoods and we're in Los Angeles because it's kind of the point of Los Angeles is you don't leave where you live. It's why it's a dark hole. And I do to go see movies, and that's how I kind of travel around LA is doing that.
I think we have time.
You guys are like, no, we don't. We signed up for 45
We have 10 minutes.
Okay. Sorry.
So we're going to be able to take a few questions from the audience. I don't think we have a mic, so just if I point you out,
no pressure.
you can stand up and I'll point you. Or no pressure. You guys don't have any questions, guys. Lady right here. Yeah.
Hi. Thank you for everything you've done. And I wonder, is there a character or the characters in literature and books that you've read that you've read the screen?
That's a great question.
Want me to repeat it?
Sure.
She wanted to know if there are any characters in literature that Lizzie Hassan wants to bring to the screen, which is great.
George and Martha, who's created Virginia Woolf, is something I've never been interested in playing Honey, so I haven't. But I would love to play Martha one day. That's something that's really important to me. Long Day's Journey is also another role that's really near to my own. It's a character I'd love to play. And so those are the first two that come to mind. Yeah.
This gentleman right here.
I know you just talked about storylines in the MCU in the comics that you would love to do eventually, maybe. Is there a specific one? Because I know in one interview you talked about Wanda going crazy and having children and doing all that, and then she actually did. So is there anything in particular you have in mind, like something like House of M or anything that you would love to do?
That's exactly what it is, actually.
That's what you would.
Is what I'd love to do with Martha. But
Okay.
I think we'd have to figure out how to almost do it in reverse because
'Cause she'd
she
have
says
to-
no more mutants.
That's true,
And
yeah.
we
And
don't
then
have mutants yet in the Marvel
true,
world,
but they're
so
trying to
we
like
have
get the mutants now with everything in the
Yeah.
MCU. But I mean, you'd have to come back first
I'd
as
have
your
to
character.
first come back to life.
Of course, yeah.
But that is
Okay.
that is the storyline that I love so much in the comic that I love so much for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
This thing right here.
Speaking of your theater experience, do you have a preference between Stanislavski or Meisner?
Do you have a preference?
Yeah.
Well, that's about like just like acting.
Yeah, what do you find that you, I don't know, that you lean towards?
So the thing that I loved about doing the Stanislavski in Russia is that it's something that continued in time. They didn't freeze it.
Yeah.
They continue it, and so the teachers there believe that they're experts enough to continue the forward motion of it. So I actually really enjoyed that. Whereas the Meisner stuff felt very imperialistic or something when I did it. And but what I do love about Meisner is like the constant attention you have to be putting on someone else and not on yourself. Whereas Stanislavski, it's more selfish.
Yeah.
But there's a balance, and I think I had a teacher in Russia who told me, you should feel like you're allowed to take up space. And I'm so of the mind of like always putting everything on everyone else I'm working with, because it's more fun for me to try and like do that with someone. But I think there is a balance between both that's valuable.
And right next
Just
door.
to part B on that,
Mhm.
having studied so many different crafts and processes, do you believe in process to curate your own, or are there cornerstones that you rely on? Is it different every time?
I think with process for me, it's different every time, yet it largely is like voice and physical. I think the longer as I'm continuing, that's I have a really hard time as myself. I don't feel free in a character that's more like me, and I'd like to actually be better at that, but it's really hard. I feel a bit more vulnerable or something, and I much rather have some sort of affectation in my body or in my voice, because it feels freer, and it kind of allows me to feel like everything I do is okay, choice-wise. And so I think that's kind of the cornerstone of the process. And then it's also, I often work with a dialect coach who's very good with script analysis, and so she and I kind of work on that together.
This gentleman right here.
I was curious. I saw Eternity last night. I thought it was a great movie. Defending Your Life, did that inform any part of that movie?
I don't know if Defending Your Life informed David or or Pat, who wrote the concept, and then David rewrote it. But strangely, it wasn't one of the references. I think probably to not draw too many comparisons to it. It wasn't one of David's main references for this film. It was more like A Matter of Life and Death, Avanti, The Apartment. What else? I feel like those were three corners, like those were three really important films for him. Maybe to not lean into Brooks. Yeah. But I always want to lean into Brooks as a person. Yeah.
Oh, this right here in the striped sweater.
What advice would you give to your younger self when you started your acting career?
Advice you would give her younger self with her acting career. I was going to ask that. Good question.
I think as I got older, I tried to take up less space. And I continue to try to take up less space. But when I was younger, I was very okay with taking up space. And so I do think there's something to be said about being okay to take up space as you get older. If that means anything to you.
I feel like we can get everyone. I don't know. I think you guys. Okay, great questions. I guess my closing question will kind of spin off that one. Was there advice that you didn't take, and you're happy you didn't take?
Oh, gosh, there's advice I didn't take all the time. Whether or not I was right, I think it was usually foolish I didn't take it. So I don't have a clear answer for that one. Yeah, I ignore advice and then but I don't also ignore advice. I'm not that stubborn, but yeah, I don't know. Sorry, that's a horrible way to end.
You did take that you're happy you took.
Again, I'm going to end this weird thing. Someone told me, some advice that someone told me, I don't know, I'm really sorry. I'm bad with the advice game. Every time someone asks me that, I really don't know how to answer it, and I get so uncomfortable.
Well, Lucy, it's your talk. How do you want to?
I just want to end by thanking everyone. I mean, I find it so annoying to hear my voice talk for an hour. So I appreciate you all being here and sticking with it. It was a long chat, but I do appreciate you guys coming out on a beautiful, 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 beautiful Saturday. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day today. Yes.
I will. I'm going to. Yes, I do.
That was a good question.
Oh, thank you. It's so interesting to me the way